All right, good evening and welcome to our regular scheduled board meeting. We will have our invocation this evening by Pastor Terrence Curtis of Calvary Baptist Church in Jonesboro, be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you would, please stand with me.
All right. Chairman Turner, board members, shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we come this hour asking your blessings and help as we have gathered together here for this meeting. We thank you for these, our commissioners, that you have given lead over our county's affairs. Grant unto them the wisdom and humility they need to make decisions for the well-being of our citizens. Give them guidance in the matters that will be brought before them. Clearly show them how to execute right judgment as they pursue excellence for Clayton County. Grant unto all of those who will come before this body to clearly articulate their concerns in a respectful manner towards the commissioners and their fellow citizens. To that end, please release a spirit of peace and cooperation in this place, so that all, when leaving, will understand that we're just better when we work together. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the October 19th Board of Commissioners regular business meeting. The first order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Do any board members have any amendments to offer?
Yes, Madam Clerk. I would like to have under presentations, the Health Literacy Month proclamation removed. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to take number 18 and vote on it separately, and within that vote on each individual agency separately.
So that I'm clear, you want to...
Resolution 2021-212.
Right, and you want to vote on each individual organization that's been awarded money.
Yes.
Individually.
Separate, yes.
All right, is there a
That's for the
second?
entire list? Question?
Say what?
For that, or just these are, or for the entire spreadsheet that we before us?
She's talking about the entire
Just-
spreadsheet.
No. This is the housing. This is something different.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
This is,
Yeah,
this is
I
for the
gotta
CARES.
find
This is
that
for the
sheet.
CARES Act.
Yeah.
I got you.
No, not the.
I just wanted
Not
to
the
get
grants.
clarification on
No.
that.
Okay.
not the grant.
All right, thank you for that clarification. All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Any others?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have an amendment, but if I may, please, real quick before it gets too late, I want to just say thank you to Pastor Terrence Curtis for always coming to serve, and they're celebrating their 30th anniversary, if you don't mind. I don't want them to leave before we make that announcement. We thank them for their service to the community. Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Pastor, definitely. And just for the record, state statute allows each commissioner to be able to attend a meeting at least twice a year if they are out of the district or a health concern. So with that being said, Commissioner Franklin is joining us this evening via Zoom because she is currently out of the district. All right, is there any other amendments, deletions? All right, hearing none, I will ask for a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Any other questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next, we have proclamation entitled October is National Pedestrian Safety Month. This is presented by Director Jeff Matarko.
Clayton County Board of Commissioners observes National Pedestrian Safety Month, October 2021. Whereas on September 13, 1899, the first recorded instance of a person being killed in a motor vehicle collision in the United States occurred. And whereas Clayton County, Georgia, where the world lands and opportunities take off, strives to be one of the safest counties in the state, and residents shall have the opportunity to experience the pleasure of walking as sources of health, exercise, and transportation. And whereas Clayton County serves more than 1.2 million trips per day, including about 42,000 walk trips and an additional 15,000 walking access trips to transit services per day. And whereas 82% of fatalities occur during overnight hours, 90% of fatalities occur outside a crosswalk, 33% of fatalities are attributed to motorists not yielding to pedestrians, and 33% are attributed to pedestrians. And whereas from September to February, when nights are longer, over 30% of pedestrian fatalities occur between 6 p.m. and 8:59 p.m. And whereas to address this serious problem, drivers and pedestrians must work together to demonstrate behaviors on the road, helping to protect themselves and those around them. And whereas the goal of National Pedestrian Safety Month is to increase awareness about pedestrian safety and reminding drivers and walkers that staying safe is a shared responsibility. And whereas the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration recommends to practice 5 walking tips, including walk on sidewalks whenever they are available, keep alert at all times, whenever possible, cross streets at crosswalks or intersections, be visible at all times, and watch for cars entering or exiting driveways or backing up in parking lots. Now, therefore, I, Jeffrey E. Turner, Chairman of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 2021 to be National Pedestrian Safety Month. We encourage all citizens to renew their commitment to safe driving practices, to watch for pedestrians and cyclists, and to be aware of all who share the road. In witness whereof I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of Clayton County, Georgia, to be affixed this 19th day of October in the year 2021.
We're doing a lot of work to keep our pedestrians safe in this county on the roadways. We also have a grant that our youth commissioners who are located in the back are working hard on. Let's give the youth commissioners a round of applause.
Mr. Chairman, next the board will hear public comments. Citizens will be given 3 minutes maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners. State your name and county of residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone. And speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparaging remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
And I'm going to make this statement. I see a lot of people have signed up to voice their concerns about public hearings on the zoning requests. So you can still utilize this time if you would like to, but also the zoning requests will be heard at the end of the meeting when the individual zoning request comes before us. So that would be the more appropriate time to voice your concern. But again, if you like to still come up here for your 3 minutes, you still can do so. Dr. Barbara Pulliam.
Is this resting?
Yes.
Good evening, Chairman Turner and members of the Clayton County Board of Commissioners. My name is Dr. Barbara Pulliam, and I'm a resident of Clayton County, a taxpayer, and a registered voter, and I do vote. Tonight, I come to you as a founding member of Women of Clayton County and a member of the Women of Clayton County Economic Development Committee. Our work is centered on many ways to make our community stronger, more attractive, and more economically viable. We want to keep our property values strong. We want to encourage people to shop in the county they live in, and we want our neighborhoods clean. We want mandatory trash pickup. We know that mandatory trash pickup creates a clean community that attracts economic development and a better quality of life for all residents. Last week I did something I have not done since I was 12 years old. Something my mother always recruited me to help her do to keep our neighborhood clean. Sweeping the trash off the curbs in the street in front of our house. Last week I went out into the street in my neighborhood, the area in front of my house, to pick someone else's trash up. Boxes of food that had been improperly disposed of by tossing it out of an automobile car window. Cleaning up the mess spread out on the street in front of my house was not a hard thing to do, but most certainly it was an unpleasant thing to do. Women of Clayton County are seeking your support and ultimately your vote for mandatory trash pickup in Clayton County. We know the buildup of trash and garbage can affect our health, your health, my health. Littering, illegal dumping, and trash buildup can make health issues like asthma and heart problems very much worse for our neighbors. Littering, illegal dumping, and trash buildup is a public hazard that can be controlled. By having weekly trash removal, you will be supporting public health. We have come to you in the past because we need your help in making this a reality. We also want to encourage and, yes, push for your help in reaching this goal for our community. Remember, mandatory trash pickup creates a clean community that attracts economic development and a better quality of life for all of us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Willie Ballard.
Again, my name is Willie Ballard. I do live in Clayton County. My concerns are the Independence Park.
If you could just speak up just a little bit now, so we
You
hear
want
you.
me to take this up?
That's up to you.
Okay. The Independence Park is my concern and its maintenance. The overflowing trash, the limbs and branches that's on the side of the trails that are not being maintained. Also, the vines on my street on Independence Road, vines and trees are overflowing on the streets, and it's over, as you drive through, it's over your cars and can damage your cars. And I've addressed it with the Commissioner's Secretary on a couple of occasions. Also, the director of the park, the manager of the park, and the director, Hodges, and Mr. Ricardo. And Mr. Ricardo had his team out there. The only thing that I saw was the baseball area being maintained, not the park, not maintaining the trails. And a long time ago, I've been in Clayton County for a long time, and the prisoners used to keep it up and grind up the limbs and bushes and all that. Now that's not being done. And I just would also reiterate the mandated trash, because I think I've seen it done once since I've been living over here. I am a taxpayer and I am a voter. Also, bus shelters is an issue for me, a concern. We have the whole street of Flint and only 3 bus shelters. And I've seen mothers with children in the rain, elders in the rain, because they have nowhere to go because there's no shelters, only 3 that accommodate that area. And I would like if you guys could address these concerns. I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you, ma'am. Virginia Hall.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Good evening.
My name is Virginia Hall. I am a Clayton County resident for over 40 years, and I too am a founding member of the Women of Clayton County. I am here tonight. I wanted to share our vision with you, or our mission. Our mission of Women of Clayton County is to strategically mobilize Clayton County by transforming our community where business growth and development are thriving so that our citizens can live, work, and play in a sustainable environment. And part of that is, of course, cleaning up the county. And we are really serious and want to work with the county officials in making mandatory trash pickup, just bringing it to fruition, because we've had 2 surveys done, we've had 2 opportunities to voice our opinion as to whether or not we wanted it, and at both of those events, it was overwhelmingly a yes. So we would really like to ask the Board of Commissioners to really seriously consider this and move forward so the county can move forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you. John Rosinski. John Rosinski.
I was told that I don't address it to the zoning issue.
Okay, thank you, sir. Emerson Porter.
Evening. My name is Emerson Porter, and I was at the Flint River Community Center on October the 7th, and it's my understanding that we have some problems in that building that's less than a year old, but the main concern was, you see how cool and comfortable it is in this room right now? The room we was in was extremely hot. Now, this presents 2 problems. You have an air conditioning system that apparently is not doing what it should do, which costs more in energy, and you have less comfort. So the building is yet less than a year old, so I can't understand why these issues would even be in a new building. So after I talked to Commissioner Franklin, she said we need to talk to the board, so here I am.
Duly noted, sir. We're going to have our maintenance guy take a look at that again. He's been working on it, so yes, we hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay. Well, like I said, they have an advisory panel, and I will be on that panel, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. Crystal Perry.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Crystal Perry. I live in District 3. At present, I serve Clayton County as a nonprofit leader, community organizer, and I am also on the Women of Clayton County. And this is related to a health and wellness issue. As each hour passes, the likelihood that a missing person will be found decreases. That's why the first 48 hours of the investigation are the most critical. When in crisis, Clayton County citizens deserve compassion, empathy, but more importantly, policies and protocols that are clear and resources that are easily accessible. In Georgia, it's not necessarily to wait 24 hours to report a person missing. I had to find that out on Google on Monday when my husband of 21 years did not report home. He is a diabetic, and I knew there was a medical issue. Ultimately, I was disheartened to find that no information is on the Clayton County Police website as far as what to do for any missing persons, Amber Alert. And this, of course, has launched me in my own investigation, which we have a problem. By my count, at least 10 people have gone missing, or bolos have gone out from this incident happening to even today. And it seems like each is handled differently. And even in the case of children and adults with mental illness or medical issue, there doesn't appear to be a set protocol or policy. As a result, I stand before you as a mother, wife, sister, aunt, and I'm seeking a solution for missing persons and persons with medical issues in Clayton County. Very simply, if we could copy and paste, I've shared with my commissioner surrounding policies. People need to know tag number, VIN, what will the police ask for? And also, simple solutions. Our chief currently has a portal where you can do feedback. Could that be a missing persons portal where people could upload photos? And even though something may not happen immediately, that information is already there. Also, I had to call myself, each hospital, looking for a John Doe during this time, and it just bothers me that there's no connection between communications. And so, again, over time, maybe we could have a voluntary system where people with medical issues and addresses are connected. So if something mad is called, because the citizens are willing to support. Nextdoor, Facebook, but that cannot be the only and primary support. And even though we might address these issues differently, A, B, and C should be the same. Thank you.
Thank you. And Chief Roberts is in the back. I'm sure you are familiar with him. He's definitely open for all ideas, so please continue to have a conversation with him.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, excuse me, was your husband found?
Yes, I found him at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, okay.
Yes, ma'am. And he is okay. So we were blessed. I just do not want this to happen to anyone.
Okay.
It's information.
Kenya Tucker. Okay, thank you. Amelia Satin, looks like Patton. Amelia Patton.
It's Dalton, and I'll wait for
Dalton?
Tony.
Okay. Robert Lowry.
I'll defer to the zoning portion.
Wanda, looks like Singleton.
I would refer to zoning.
Okay. Elminor Lord.
Excuse me.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Elminor Lord, and I'm here again to voice my concern because I'm still having problem where I live in my community in Riverdale with my next door neighbors. They're still harassing me in my house with loud music and put lights at my windows. I have to leave my bedroom downstairs and slept upstairs, and even though I left my bedroom downstairs and slept upstairs, they're still putting light in my bedroom windows. And it is not fair. This is not fair at all, because I've been coming here weeks upon weeks and nothing has been done. And I need help. I need help. And I know that it is my next door neighbors because I have a case with him in court. And I need help because at nights I can't sleep. I have to be just looking out and to see what is happening in my bedroom. Everywhere I turn in my house, I can't even cook. Can't even use the kitchen to cook my dinner because lights coming in days and nights. And I just need help, and I need somebody to, even though Commissioner Turner put me on to Chief Roberts. The other day I called him to let him know what is happening, but I wasn't home, but he told me that he would pass by. And I've been coming here weeks upon weeks upon weeks, and I don't want my coming here to be in vain. So I need help. I need help in that community. Even neighbors in the community told me that they heard him at night too, putting on the loud music like 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And when I'm sleeping at nights, it's like sometimes he just drops something loud in the house, in his apartment or in his townhome, and then it just woke me up out of my sleep. And that's not good. It is not good. I need help. I need help. And I think this is the place to come where I need help. Thank you.
Thank you. Mickey Garber.
Madam Clerk, Mickey Garber, unincorporated Rex, Georgia. Well, everybody wants to state how long they've lived in Clayton County. I've been here 74 years. My deepest respect go out to the women of Clayton County for their response about the trash pickup, about the cleanliness of the county. My heart goes out to them, but mandatory trash pickup will not solve our litter problem. Mandatory trash pickup will be an extra tax burden on every homeowner in here. You can't tell us how much it'll cost. You take choice away from it, from the citizens of Clayton County, and Dr. Pulliam stated she did something for the first time since she was a child in picking up trash around her house that somebody else dumped out. It is an unpleasant job. I do this job 3 times a week, and I pick up the same trash. Cleanliness is taught in the home by women, especially mothers, and again, my respect and admiration goes out to these women. But mandatory trash pickup will not solve our problem. Our problem is on each and every one of us teaching our children and showing people and telling people not to litter. It is 1% of our population that is causing 100% of our trash problem. Trash is put, and dumping is put in places where there's no houses, where there's vacant land. That is a dumping problem. That can be controlled by people blocking off their property, not giving access to property for people to dump. But litter is taught in the home, and it has to be a thought that all of us pick up trash. It is unpleasant, but once we set the example,
Your time is up,
this will
sir.
disappear. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, that concludes public comment.
Mr. Chairman, next, the board will consider the consent agenda.
All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second the motion. Any questions on any of the items? All right, hearing none, those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Next is Resolution 2021-212.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, Board. Resolution 2021-212, which is the resolution authorizing Clayton County to submit its comprehensive annual performance and evaluation report to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to amend the PY 2020 annual action plan to recapture and reallocate unexpended coronavirus aid, relief, and Economic Security Act, CARES Act funds to the Clayton County Housing Authority, House of Dawn, and Clayton County Library Services. To authorize the chairman to perform all acts necessary to accomplish the intent of this resolution. To authorize the chief financial officer to amend the budget to reflect an appropriate revenue source and expense as may be required. To provide an effective date of this resolution and for other purposes.
And if you would, Vice Chair wanted to vote separately on each grant.
Okay, so there could be a motion made to allow the recapture and reallocation of funds. There are three entities that are listed here.
State the entities.
Clayton County Housing Authority in the amount of $17,548.28. House of Dawn in the amount of $50,000 even. And Clayton County Library Services in the amount of $36,145.
Okay, so the first one, help me again.
Would be the
Housing Authority
yes.
for $17,000.
$17,548.28.
Okay, so is there a motion to approve this grant? I'll make the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
3-1, it passes.
3?
3-1. You're the only one, Commissioner Franklin.
Yes.
The next is House of Dawn in the amount of $50,000.
All right.
Wait, Mr. Chair, I apologize. I didn't hear the first one. I only heard the attorney say all three initially. Who was the first one to again?
Housing Authority for $17,000.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Second one, is there a motion to approve the house? You say House of Dawn?
House of Dawn in the amount of $50,000.
And the amount of $50,000. Is there a motion to approve this grant?
Motion oh, I'm sorry. Second.
All right. Motion by Commissioner Hambrick, second by Commissioner Davis. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
And the final is Clayton County Library Services in the amount of $36,145.
All right. Is there a motion to approve library, the grant for the library system?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Properly moved and second by Commissioner Davis. Any questions on this grant? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, the next two items are board appointments.
All right, first board appointments for Behavior, Health, and Developmental Disabilities. This is Commissioner Davis's selection. Ms. Janice Scott has resigned from the Department of Behavior, Health, and Developmental Disabilities Region 3 Advisory Council. New appointment will start immediately and will expire February 28th, 2024. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, I move to nominate or put Mr. Joe Grubbs for that position.
Is that Joe Grubbs?
Joe Grubbs, Grubbs.
All right, I'll second the motion. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Next board appointments for the Library Board is Commissioner Hambrick's pick. Mr. Robert McAllen appointment expired on October 2nd, 2021. New term will begin immediately and will expire October 2nd, 2024. Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes, I would like to nominate Ms. Deborah Jester.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, the next items are zoning hearings. Citizens may speak for or against an item that is considered by law to be a zoning decision, and each side will have 10 minutes to present its case. In the event there is more than one speaker per side, speakers must divide their time in order to complete their full presentation within the 10-minute time allotment. When the time runs out, the speaker will be expected to immediately cease speaking and to leave the podium area. Applicants or citizens speaking in favor shall speak first. Applicants in zoning ordinance cases shall have the right to reserve time for rebuttal. Opponents of a zoning decision item shall have no right of rebuttal. When speaking, speak directly into the microphone and begin by stating your name, address, and name of any organization you represent. Abusive, profane, or derogatory language will not be permitted. Holding up signs, clapping, and yelling will not be permitted, but a show of hands and quietly standing will be permitted to show support for or opposition to a speaker's position. The first zoning case is item number 25, BOC 2102-0098. FLUM amend to TCU to MDR to allow a PUD residential development.
Is the applicant present? Mr. McSwain.
Hello. Good evening, Chairman and board members. For point of clarity, items 25, 26, and 27 are all associated with the same property. The applicant has requested to table these items to the next Board of Commissioners meeting hearing on November the 16th.
Okay, we'll take all three under consideration. Commissioner Davis.
Yes, we'll go ahead and table those. Move to go ahead and table those.
All right, your motion's to table. I will second the motion. Are there any questions? All right, hearing none. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next zoning item is number 28, BOC 2105-0113, FLUP amend MXD to HDR to develop 384-unit multifamily apartments.
Mr. McSwain.
Yes. Chairman and board members, the request before you, the applicant is here. Planning and staff recommended approval. ZAG recommended approval of this request. This is associated requests 28 and 29, all associated.
Is the applicant present?
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. The applicant's agent for this item, I'm with Heck Walker Jordan, as well as waiting to be let in out there after the table, so should be in any minute now if we could have a few minutes to vote.
You said you want to, is he out front?
He's out front, but he's not been let in yet, so I've just texted him to come on in. The security wouldn't let him in because of the...
Yeah, what's the gentleman's name?
Greg Heck.
Greg Heck.
Yes.
Y'all let Mr. Heck in so he can present his case. Or his request. Sound like a judge. Greg Heck.
Chairman and board, while the applicant is coming, just a note that these two requests will be voted on separately. One is the future land use map amendment, and the other is the rezoning application.
Yes, we're clear. Thank you. What's the other? Okay, while we're waiting, we're going to go to the next zoning request, which is item, 30, what is it, 30?
Yes.
30 and 31. Yep. So pick up from there, Mr. McSwain, and we'll come back to the previous one.
Item number 30 is BOC 2104-0105, which is the FLUP amend from GC to MDR to allow for 195 single-family attached townhome units.
Again, Chairman and board members, items 30, 31, and 32 are associated with the same property. The applicant has formally requested to table these items and is here to represent as well.
Ms. Battle.
Y'all locked me out today. Didn't even get in.
Is it your desire to table these,
There you go.
all three?
Yes, we do.
Okay, we will take all three under consideration. Commissioner Davis, how would you like to proceed?
Motion that we table.
All right, I'll second the motion. Are there any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Did you all see a date? What day you're tabling?
for what
Table
day?
to November 16th, I believe.
All right. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next zoning item is item number 33, BOC 2107-0134, which is the CUP to allow a convenience store with gasoline in a commercial retail plaza.
Chairman and board members, this request, we have two separate requests. One is for a convenience store, number 32, and number 33 is for a car wash facility. So these two requests are separate but on the same location. And the applicant is here to represent staff recommendation.
Hold on a second.
What's the number?
Ms. Swain, what were the numbers on that? You said 32 and 33, I believe.
I'm sorry, 33 and 34.
34.
Thank you.
So the applicant
Is the applicant present?
It was the same from 28 and 29, so he's here.
Is that Mr. Heck?
The owner is here. Chair and the board, while we wait, note of clarity for item 34. It states that staff recommended denial, staff recommended approval of conditions, ZAC recommended denial of the request, just to clear that up.
Okay, I don't see any listing of the conditions.
I'll have those projected on the screen.
Good to see you, Mr. Heck. Yes, you're going to have to wait just a couple more minutes.
Well, I'm sorry, they wouldn't let me in at first. I apologize. I'm here.
All right, that should.
All right, so how many minutes would you like to save for rebuttal, should you need?
2 minutes to say.
2 minutes, so please set 8 minutes on the clock.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, John Jordan, I'm with Hecht Walker Jordan, 205 Corporate Center Drive, Suite B, Stockbridge, Georgia, 30281. I do have a packet I'd like to hand out to the board before we begin. We represent Dr. Shri Singh, who's the applicant for this item and also the owner of the property in question. Dr. Singh is here with us tonight, back there, and is here to answer any questions that the board may have as well, if any come up as this progresses. The subject property is located at 1451 Highway 138 in Riverdale, Georgia. It's unincorporated Clayton County. with the Riverdale address. You can see it's close. It's going towards Union City, close to the Fayette line and the Fulton County lines as well. The property is approximately 4.24 acres of undeveloped land and pretty heavily wooded right now. My client, Dr. Singh, is looking to create a multi-use commercial development on his property, which would include several retail suites for lease. It would also include a restaurant, a convenience store with gas sales, and also a car wash. As currently zoned general business, the code does allow for the retail sales or the retail suites and the restaurant to be used as a permitted use, but it does require a conditional use permit for the car wash as well as for the C-store with gas sales. The item right now, if I'm correct, is for the C-store conditional use permit. That's companion to the next item, which would be for the car wash. They both go hand in hand, and so I may be bleeding a few of them together. Again, the property is located on Highway 138, just south of Kean Estates subdivision. It's an existing subdivision. However, this, according to the final plat for Kean Estates from 2004, this property right here was part of that property that was sold for Kean Estates. Kean Estates was then zoned for a PD, plan development, and the seller retained the general business tract there, this tract here for to continue to use for commercial purposes. My client would like to develop his property for that intended use with a C-store gas station and a car wash anchoring it. One of the important aspects of those two items, the C-store at issue here and the car wash at issue next, is the traffic from 138 will not be increased, but it will be incidental traffic that will be pulled from that 138 spur and essentially feed the C-store and other businesses to it, anchoring the whole shopping center. The current C-store gas station would be subject to the Highway 138 overlay standards, heightened development standards that I believe there are some other gas stations in the area that are not subject to those standards. Essentially, they're grandfathered. So this is a way to add in a new upscale modern C-store gas station that will raise the bar commercially for businesses like this and force the other businesses to enhance their product as well. If you look to the site plan here, and it's also tab 3 in your handout, building A would be the restaurant space. It's a standalone restaurant, standalone building with approximately 4,400 square feet. It's going to serve, we don't know exactly what the restaurant will be. My client is actually going to own and operate the restaurant as well as the C-store and the car wash. But it will be American food with a bar with TVs for entertainment as well. It'll seat about 150 guests. And then you have the primary building, building B, which is approximately 9,600 square feet. It will be anchored again by the C-store in the middle, a 3,000 square foot C-store. And then we'll have between 2 and 4 retail spaces for lease. That shows 4, but it depends on the size of the space that a tenant would need. It could change that. So, building C is the car wash tunnel. It's a 2,700 square foot car wash tunnel that would serve for the car wash itself with 25 vacuum spaces around it. There is, when the property, Kean Estates, was sold from the prior owner, a 50-foot buffer was included between the commercial use and the subdivision use. That's still there. There's also an additional 40-foot buffer that will be added on to this as well. So these buildings will be set apart considerably from the current space. There's 2 entrances. One, the primary entrance will be off of 138. It's got a D-cell lane as well as tapering, and the second one will be off of Petunia Drive as well. The gas tanks in the parking are designed from the front. We do understand we're going to have to get a variance to vary from the overlay requirements that doesn't allow a gas tank to be in the front, and also the parking issues. But of course, if that variance, this site plan would be subject to that variance. If it's not granted, absolutely would find a way to comply with the overlay and the ordinance. Also being in the front parking and the tanks also provide another area of separation away from the subdivision to the north with the lights and the traffic and that type of thing. So it's very important to the subdivision to have that in the front as well. The materials for these buildings, there's renderings that are provided in your handout, tab 4. One of the renderings is right here before you as well. Will comply with the height and overlay standards. If any of the renderings have, for some reason, not been consistent with it, those will be amended. They will absolutely comply with the materials for the overlay standards. The benefits to this operation, with the anchor with the C-store and the car wash, would include new jobs. We're looking at originally estimated 45 to 55 new jobs for the area. That's actually likely going to be between 50 and 70 if you have these anchors in place. The property tax revenue now only generates about $6,500 per year for vacant, undeveloped land. With the additional value of the property going up, the property taxes and the sales taxes are estimated to generate for the county $300,000 per year, which is a substantial improvement. In addition to that, again, the enhancement to the area, this will set the bar for other gas stations and convenience stores as well. This convenience store, again, and the car wash are vital to bring in the traffic to feed the businesses here. My client has several of these projects in Georgia. He would be glad to tell you more about them. They've all been successful. He's got a track record of success in operating these. He'll be owning and operating, he'll be continuing to own all these. He'll also be operating about 90% of these businesses that are there right now. So he has an incentive to keep it up. He'll also be providing security for during the night. He'll have off-duty police officers providing security to make sure that's in place. We do believe this project will be a real benefit to Clayton County. It's going to provide new commercial options and services for the county.
Your time is up, sir.
Okay, and I'll just reserve that.
All right, so we don't have any time for anybody to speak in favor of the request, but at this time, if anybody is in opposition to applicant's request, please come forward. Not all at one time. Hold on just a second. I'm gonna take this lady in blue and then the lady with the red on, and then we'll go over here.
Good evening. My name is Keisha Farrell. I am the property owner at 1444 Camilla Street. I've been a resident of Keon Estate since it first was developed in 2004. This initially, I'm not gonna hold anyone, but initially the property we were sold on in the subdivision. The owner was going to develop that property for a recreational facility for Keon Estates residents, just like it was for his other property in Lovejoy. We bought into it. We paid for the fee of $100 at closing, and we was told that that money will be returned back to us once all of the homes and stuff in the area was sold in our subdivision. That was a bust. That never happened. Franklin Builders went away. Tried contacting them several times. They was not going to give us anything. Everything is pretty much everything that Clayton County has asked of their citizens, us taxpayers, from MARTA, from increasing taxes for maintaining police and fire departments, workers. We voted yes for it. We need you guys to vote no for this project. This is not going to increase anything with us. As a matter of fact, these lights will be shining in the back of my house. I live in that wooded area that the attorney is speaking of. This is not going to serve a purpose for me, nor our community. The crime rate, there will be, and this will be a 6th gas station within a less than a 5 miles radius. There's already gas stations there, pre-existing gas stations that say the car wash. Every last car wash is used for something else. The one across the street at Shell is a junkyard. We've called the police for that. Police tell us there's nothing they can do. We've called code enforcement. Code enforcement says there's nothing they can do. It's a junk place. There have been multiple shootings. There have been multiple robberies. Even on 138, we've had children to die within the last 3 years. We've had, because of the traffic that's come in and out, we have petitioned, including the residents of the brand new subdivision that was built right next door. They've even petitioned to have a red light. That's a bust as well. We need you guys to stand up for us and speak for us as we voted you all in to say no to this. This is not going to help us at all, period. Our children need a quality of life that they are accustomed to living. We do not need the rodents. We do not need the crime. We do not need another sports bar, hangout place. If you want to build a restaurant with an existing organization that's the $1 billion place. Cheesecake Factory. We have enough Popeyes on Highway 138. We have enough Taco Bell, Del Tacos, Krispy Kremes. We have enough of those. If you want to build a restaurant, a quality restaurant, get a Chick-fil-A, Cheesecake Factory, Papa Do's, something that will increase the business within there. But we don't even want that as well either. Not there, not in that space. Vote no for this, please. I ask of you all.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Chairman and Commissioners, first I want to ask the question. I thought I heard the gentleman say that at the zoning, both of these were voted, the zoning said no on both of them. I've been at every meeting on this. So the zoning did not say that they recommended this for 34 and 35.
And to respond to that, we're saying that staff recommended approval of one of the requests. Zach recommended not on both.
Okay, okay.
Proceed.
Thank you. I wanted to say vote no on this because if you look at the layout of this, there's not sufficient space. In Keenan Estates, which I live at 7468, which is the property directly behind this, there's not enough room, and if they put an entrance into our subdivision, there's only one way in and one way out. There's not enough space for traffic. Traffic is already heavy on 138. For example, there's Williamson Funeral Home. When they have mega funerals, the traffic is already out on 138. So having another restaurant, and as the previous person mentioned, we have a Shell station less than a mile up the street. You go the opposite direction, we have 2 gas stations. We do not need another gas station. We currently do not have a problem with rodents, so we want to make sure we do not have a problem with rodents. For example, with the restaurant, it is a sit-down restaurant, and they told us it's very high-end. They're going to be throwing out trash. They mentioned trash will be picked up 2 days a week. What happens the other 5 days? So we want to make sure that we do not have a problem with that. Also with parking, if this restaurant seats 150 people, including the workers, where are people going to park? You also have the gas station with 4 businesses, 2 on each side. We don't need another Family Dollar, Dollar Store, Dollar Tree, beauty supply store. We need different businesses in this area. So I just say vote no for this. Thank you.
Thank you. There's 2 ladies over here that wanted to speak. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Felicia McGee. I live at 1404 Camellia Street, Riverdale, Georgia. I'm the original homeowner. I've been there since 2004. Our subdivision is so small. There's only one way in and one way out. There's no outlet. He talks about wanting to put a place on Petunia Street where they can drive up there. The street is not that big. We have to park on the street. All family members have cars. Family members already have to park on the street. So that basically makes it like just like a one-lane road. So I oppose the convenience store, the gas station, the retail plaza, and the car wash. We don't want that in our backyard. We're worried about the safety for our families, the crime, and she said the rodents, the trash, and the chemicals from the gas station. Right now, we're just a quiet little subdivision. No trouble, not a lot of traffic and stuff like that. And we want to keep it that way. And literally, this will be in people's backyards. So I oppose having this built there.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
There's another lady on this side.
Good afternoon, or good evening. My name is Kenya Tucker, and I live at 7403 Petunia Drive, so I'm all the way up the street before we get to the cul-de-sac. And I don't want to stand up here and reiterate everything that everyone else has said, because everything is true. Our subdivision is small, it's family-oriented. We have just gotten it in the last 5 years to where we're happy to come home. I'm happy to come home when I pull into my subdivision. Where they're talking about having the tractor turn in, I have a 6-year-old granddaughter that likes to walk. She likes to ride her bike. That will kill that. That will not be able to happen. And we do have 3 gas stations in walking distance. And each one of those gas stations has a convenience store inside or connected. We also have a tire place, and there's all kind of unwanted traffic at those areas. I'm an educator. I've been an educator for 22 years. Don't educate in Clayton County, but I'm going to come back. But the element, when we give people that are not that we don't want in these areas, we're giving them another space to create havoc. A car wash, a gas station next to a restaurant. People that are going to fine dining are not going to want to park on the side of a gas station. I'm not going to a fine dining restaurant that's next to a car wash. I'm sorry. That's just not what I'm going to do. And I don't see many people turning into what's supposed to be a fine dining restaurant if I got to go drive past the car wash in the same plaza. So I hope that you would vote no. It's been denied once. I think we need to keep that going. We're building Clayton County up. We have so many areas that are coming up, and I want us to keep going in that direction. And I want it to be a safe place, and I want to continue to be happy coming home. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, so that's the 10 minutes up for those speaking in opposition. This time we'll give the applicant's rep 2-minute rebuttal.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just to hit on a few of those points and reminding the board that the restaurant and the retail space are already permitted under the current zoning. That can go up tomorrow. What we're looking at right here is the C-store gas station to help anchor it and help it be successful. I did appreciate definitely the comments about there are other gas stations in the area. One of the ladies did mention that the Shell is a slump down the street. This would help enhance that. It's going to take the business from that Shell. However, if the board is inclined and does agree that that it's a little bit too many gas stations in the area, I have discussed with my client, and while the C-store would still be very important, he would agree to have a C-store without gas sales. And that could be added as a condition to the conditional use permit for the C-store. As far as the location of the restaurant and the car wash, they're on opposite ends of the 4.24 acre property. So there won't be driving by the car wash to get to the restaurant. The restaurant will be accessed by 138 as well as ingress and egress from Petunia as well. What is an advantage of this project is we have a tried and true successful business owner that has these types of projects and is successful with them. He's going to actually operate the C-store, the restaurant, the car wash, and likely one of the lease spaces. And instead of having somebody come in here and putting other commercial uses out here that might be even less neighborhoody, so to speak, my clients coming in here and investing his money to have something that is an option for the residents in the area will actually increase the property value and provide more revenue and substantial amount of jobs for the county. So we would ask that the board approve this conditional use permit with or without gas sales. And I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Mr. McSwain, what are the conditions that staff is recommending?
Staff did not provide recommendations for the gas service. It was for denial, but recommended conditions for the car wash, and the conditions were that the site layout for the car wash shall reflect.
Well, we're not on the car wash yet.
Oh,
so
okay.
she
Well, no,
that.
then staff didn't have any recommendations on it.
Thank you.
Staff's recommendation was for the C-store.
For denial, it was for the C-store, an approval for the car wash.
Commissioner Hambrick.
Yes. Thank you for your input, and thank you for the community input also. On this request, I am suggesting denial.
Motions for denials, there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Madam Clerk, next.
The car wash. We have to do the CUP for the car wash.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's
That's what I was telling her.
Okay.
Go ahead and let her proceed.
Right, and item number 34 is for BOC 2107-0135, which is the CUP to allow for a car wash.
And staff is recommending approval with two conditions. One, the site layout of the car wash shall reflect the conceptual site plan submitted by the applicant. And two, additional automotive services such as tire sales and vehicle repair are not allowed. And that's it.
How many minutes would you like for rebuttal?
I'll reserve 5 minutes for rebuttal.
5 minutes, okay. Set the timer at 5. Please proceed, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, again, John Jordan with Hecht Walker Jordan, PC, 205 Corporate Center Drive, Suite B, Stockbridge, Georgia, 30281. Because these, the prior item and this item go hand in hand, I'd like to incorporate my prior presentation into this one instead of repeating it for the board. But I would like to add a few items about the car wash in and of itself. Again, most of the, even without the C-store, the restaurant and the retail space are permitted uses, but we do need an anchor to help support those permitted uses, so this is a successful development. The car wash would be pulling traffic from Highway 138, who might then visit the retail stores that are there, might visit the restaurant. So that would help boost up the permitted uses. There are no other car washes, as noted in staff's report, within a mile, so there's no car washes in the area. This would be a new service for the area, and also would, again, prop up the permitted uses that would be new options for the area as well. The car wash would be a single lane, fully automated tunnel car wash with a 2,700 square foot, brand new state-of-the-art car wash tunnel. Again, it would be up to the same heightened standards of the overlay that a lot of the properties in the area are not. They're already grandfathered in. So this, again, would enhance the bar and would add additional value to the property. And the more successful the permitted uses in this are, obviously, the more valuable the property would be, the more revenue generated by this project as a whole. This use would be consistent with the future land use plan, which is mixed use. Staff has recommended approval of this item. And without the convenience store to bring in that additional bit of traffic, this car wash is absolutely that much more vital to the success of what's planned in my client's business plan. So we would ask respectfully that the board follow staff's recommendation and approve this item, and I'm happy to answer any questions after.
Okay, at this time, is there anyone here who'd like to speak in favor of this request? Anyone would like to speak in favor of? Anybody in favor? All right, set the timer for 10 minutes. Anyone like to speak in opposition to?
Good evening, Commissioner and Board. I would like to hope that you would deny this.
State your name for me.
My name is Robert Anthony Lowry. I am a member of this community. I've been there since the beginning, 2004. In light of everything that's been said, I just want to leave you with one question, and it's a rhetorical question. Would you want this built in your neighborhood? Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak in opposition?
Good evening, Commissioner, and the rest of the commissioners. My name is Sean Lee, living at 7489 Petunia Drive in Riverdale, Georgia. I've been in this neighborhood since 2017, so I am not a resident that's been here since this whole, the neighborhood was actually built out. But what drew me in to this neighborhood was the fact that it was secluded from a lot of the traffic, from a lot of the gas stations, a lot of the car washes, a lot of the restaurants. But when I look at Route 138 and I see even convenience stores there, and even at the car washes that I've seen in Union City, in Fairburn, in Fayetteville, there's a large congregation of traffic. I feel if they put this car wash here, there's an entry on Petunia Drive that faces my house, my two neighbors' house, and all four of us have cameras. Anytime somebody comes in the neighborhood, my camera sees it. Anytime somebody comes out the neighborhood, my camera catches it. And I'm not the only camera. I have two other neighbors that have cameras pointing right out to that area, so they'll catch anybody going in. The unnecessary traffic for just even a car wash is not wanted. And if even this car wash was there, I don't want to live in the neighborhood because it brings down that whole atmosphere that it has right now. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak in opposition to?
Yes, hello, my name is Donna Jones. I live at 7453 Petunia Drive. I'm up the street from where he talking about putting this car wash. There's no room there, y'all. It's just a nice little quiet area now. I've been there ever since I was like the third person that moved in. And now we got it like it's quiet and everything's safe for the children. All of that's gonna do is just bring more traffic, and it's only one way in and one way out, like everybody's saying. There's no room. And please vote no for it, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
Good evening, Commissioner Board. My name is Vicki Harris. I live at 1330 Camellia Street. I have also been a resident from the beginning, 2004. I chose that community because at the time it was small. I believe that there are 70 houses in that subdivision. We have a nice, quiet neighborhood. I agree with everything that everyone has stated in regards to the opposition of this project. I really hope that you all will vote no. I ask that you vote no to it. We love our community, and this would just be horrible to place in that area. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
Yes, my name is Janice Green, and I live at 1416 Camellia Street. And I too also was a resident of there since 2004. And like everybody said, and I don't want to be redundant, but this is our quality of life. This is where we live. This is where our kids are being raised, and we just don't want that in our neighborhood. We hear shooting down the street at gas stations and everything. It's just ridiculous that we have to fight for this. We shouldn't have to fight for what everybody else has. We should be able to come home and live in peace. So I oppose everything that he's offering today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come forward.
This is my last time. In reference to, I'm Keisha Fair, 1444 Community Street. In reference to the car wash, he was untruthful. I'm just sorry. There's car spa on Highway 85. There's another car wash directly across from the brand new Riverdale Plaza there. There's another car wash right down the street on the opposite end, like you're going towards Fayetteville. Before you even get there, that was abandoned, and people still go there. Trash is still everywhere over there all the time. Yes, and they sell drugs over there. I'm just gonna be honest. They sell drugs over there. Call the police about that too. But you know, hey, it is what it is. We don't need another car wash. Where they gonna go to? And be on the front street of 138 when you first coming down the road. Who wants to see all that debris? And you're talking about the other businesses that he owns, the properties that he's developed. Where are the photos showing how those properties are maintained today? Not how they initially started, but how they are being maintained today. That's all I got to say.
Anybody like to speak? Anybody else in opposition? All right, so you have 5 minutes. Set the timer for 5.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I do appreciate the comments of the community. Just want to address a couple of those. And this is a major state highway, Highway 138. It is a commercial corridor. If there are, of course, residences off of the 138, but if you'll notice, that area right there has been reserved for commercial use. The future land use plan is mixed use, so in order to have that mixed use, you've got to have this commercial use. My client, a lot of times you'll have businesses that will go in and develop and sell it off to somebody else. My client's going to have a vested market interest in making sure this is successful. He's going to own and operate 90% of what's out there. And he does need that car wash to be able to pull some traffic off of 138 in order to make this successful. Without that, especially since the convenience store was not allowed, without that, he's not going to be able to have a successful business here, and some other commercial development is going to come here that's not. You may not have a vested interest in this property. You may have other less desirable commercial operations going there. This is zone commercial. This is an opportunity to bring in a quality investment that the owner is going to make sure, have an economic incentive to make sure it's done right. And as far as crime and whatnot, he is going to provide for a security guard, off-duty security guard. The car wash is definitely not going to add to loitering. I don't see people wanting to loiter around the car wash. It's going to be an in and out, find something else that you might want to go to in that shopping center to spend your money or go somewhere else. But it would pull the traffic that's needed for the success of this project. Looking at just to make sure, as far as it being next to the property, Kenyon Estates in the back, there's going to be almost 100-foot buffer. One's already a 50-foot natural buffer that's been reserved, in addition to the 40-foot buffer that's going to be there. So this is separated. The way this is oriented with the parking in the front, again, will separate the traffic and the lights and any impact like that away from that subdivision and towards 138. So this would ameliorate any effects on that subdivision. Again, a commercial use is going to go here, but I think it's in the community's interest that it be a successful, upscale Highway 138 overlay design business that the community, that can offer the community new options for food, new service. When I said there's not a car wash in the area, that's coming from staff's report. At least for a mile in the area, that staff noted that there's not one, staff noted that would be actually a benefit of this to provide an additional service that's not been provided, and we completely agree. So we would respectfully request, especially since the convenience store is not going to be there, that this board approve the CUP for a car wash, so that a quality business that my client can stand behind and operate on the entire park, 4.24 acre parcel, can be successful and benefit the community.
All right. You said there's conditions with this one.
Yes, there are conditions. There are 2 recommended. And those conditions were to read that the site layout and the car wash shall reflect the conceptual plan as submitted by the applicant. Number 2, additional automotive services such as tire sales and vehicle repair are not allowed. That concludes the conditions.
Commissioner Hamburg.
Yes, I have 2 questions. Sure. Did I hear earlier that the owner that's proposing this is the same owner that purchased the land for the subdivision?
Back in 2004, when the subdivision was first rezoned to PB, it was all commercial, and the same owner actually sold off the neighborhood property for the planned development and retained the commercial part for commercial business.
Okay. Did you all have any community meetings?
We did.
And the commissioner wasn't invited?
Please, we're not going to have any outbursts. Sir, please address
the staff and the county code requires a community meeting. So that was held, and the presentations were made.
When were those meetings held?
I don't have the date, but we can do it right here.
September the 15th.
Community meeting? Not zoning meeting, community meeting.
No. That will be separate then. That
would have been on you all.
Community information meeting was the 15th, I believe.
Yes.
So that wasn't the ZAG, that was the community information meeting, and then the ZAG was October 4th.
So you met with the community,
My firm was there, gave a presentation.
Where did you all meet?
It was at the Charlie Griswold Senior Center.
Charlie Griswold?
Charlie Griswold Senior Center.
In District 1?
No, they're all held at the same location.
Why would you hold a District 1, District 2?
You mean Frank Bailey or Charlie Griswold?
Charlie Griswold. It's required. That's just where it's
I'm trying to figure out, why would you hold a meeting pertaining to District 2 in District 1?
4.
District 4? Charlie 4, right, and 4.
That was the space that was allotted for everyone for the community meetings. The way the staff has the community meetings, it's every project that's up on the agenda goes to the Charlie Griswold Senior Center for the community meetings to provide a presentation, take questions, and answer them, that type of thing, and we complied with that.
Mr. McSwain, you look like you want to interject.
No, there's no interjection. Just want to reinstate that the meeting being referenced is for all zoning actions taking place. That's a general location that, by our policies, we have the community to engage with the applicants. That happened on September the 15th. Then we send out the surrounding property owner letters to.
And that's surrounding District 2?
That this is for all of the applicants who are coming before.
Throughout the county.
For zoning, that's correct. So this is a general location that we have all of those petitions to meet at one spot.
Anything that's been presented in District 2, normally there's a location in District 2 where all the community people can come and voice their concerns and questions answered and that kind of thing.
Mr.
Did you want to say something, Mr. Jica?
Yes, Commissioner. Chairman, Vice Commissioners, good evening. I think the question the Commissioner asked, if the applicant had community meeting and the meeting agrees well, it's a central, it's a fixed meeting where we have all the community It's called community information meeting. But some applicants actually go to the community and meet with them.
Right.
And so there are two different meetings. I think the meeting you were mentioning, if the applicant went to District 2 and had a meeting
Right.
like a Virginia Gray or something and talk to the communities, some of the applicants do that. But the community meeting the applicant is referencing is the one that we usually hold at Griswold for all cases.
So outside of Griswold, there's no other meetings held within the district?
Official meeting.
One applicant.
That's right, that was the location provided. We did not do an added meeting, a second meeting in the district.
So you were not interested in the community's input?
Oh, absolutely, we were. We were hoping to have people there, and they were notified, but this is how it's, I mean, we were just going through the process to make sure that we complied, and we did have that meeting, notices were provided. You know, I definitely am happy to provide input. A lot of input's been provided, but we didn't schedule a second community meeting. We just didn't do that.
Okay, I'm going to go along with Zach's recommendation of denial.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, any questions? Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to the one that we skipped earlier. I think it's, that was a 3233. If you're exiting out, please do so quietly and expeditiously.
2829.
28 and 29. Madam Clerk.
Right, item number 28 is BOC 2105-0113, which is the FLUP amend from MXD to HDR to develop 384-unit multifamily apartments.
Chairman and Board, this request has an associated item 28 and 29 are both for the same location. One is for future land use map amendment, and the other one's for a rezoning. Zach recommended approval of the future land use map amendment and recommended denial of the rezoning.
Mr. Heck, how many minutes would you like to reserve for rebuttal? And we're only covering the first one, which is 28.
Correct. Just so that it's clear for the record, you're only considering right now item number 28.
Correct.
Thank you.
I'll reserve 2 minutes, Mr. Chairman.
All right, put 8 minutes on the clock. Please proceed, Mr. Heck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioners. Thank you, staff. We appreciate the opportunity to present to you McKinley Homes Connectivity Project. In this particular opportunity, you have upscale, modern, high-end apartment community, which is down the street from another apartment community, which connects finally that final sidewalk path so that you can get to LA Fitness, AMC, the public shopping center right around there at Mount Zion Circle. It is a high-end project. There's a kind of a photo or a poster board a little bit of some of the high-end apartments that we were talking about that should raise the bar, we think, in that area as well. As somebody who spent in Clayton County several years in apartments, I really like what they're offering. When I was here as an assistant DA and a Clayton County staff attorney, I might add, in apartment life. It is a definite need here. Property is currently zoned a commercial use. It's zoned for office industrial, with the future land use designation as mixed use. We'd like to obviously move that into the classification for which we're doing for the multifamily, the RM. This project, as you know, went through a number of different meetings. We had a lot of contact with also the commissioner actions to make major changes to the site plan. We made a 40% reduction in one type of the bedrooms, and we wanted to do that to make sure that we could do what was necessary. 20% of the project is open space. Amenities include a pool, clubhouse, office area, a fitness area, an amenity field, a pocket park, a dog park area. we have tried to put in every amenity that we know that would be raise the scale on the bar for that particular type area. This is on a 30-acre site. It is absolutely consistent with the use down the street. It's going to have modern upscale market rents of about $1,100, one bedroom, $1,300, two bedroom. It is linking the sidewalks to the commercial businesses and entertainment on Mount Zion Circle and Mount Zion Road. They're pretending gate access. The staff has approved it with, I believe it is 4 conditions. I know I'm kind of moving both into the rezoning as well as the flume amendment, but I thought I'd present it all at the same time. Bill Schmidt is here also from McKinley Homes if you have any technical questions as well. But with that and what the staff has presented, and as you notice, their recommendation for approval and the connectivity rates, I would just proffer that as something to raise the bar on multifamily in that area and the connectivity that allows. And I present it to you for support.
Thank you, sir. All right, anyone would like to speak in favor of applicant's request?
Good evening, Chair, Commissioners, Commissioner Davis, Timothy Bondell Jefferson, unincorporated Clayton County. I think we have done several feasibility studies. I think it goes back to Development Director Wayne Scott. And in all of the feasibility studies and assessments, there's one thing that kept prominently popping up, that we do not have any live here, work here, play here for the minds that we train. And the average age of our community is 33 years old. By this being a quote term market rate or upscale housing, and that north end of Mount Zion, and with the school board purchase of the Sears and Roebuck building on the south end of Mount Zion, I think that this is a trickle-up effect that will stimulate a lot of things moving forward. So with that stated, and it being upscale housing, I think that it's a win-win for the community and great minds that we train here at Clayton State University, where they don't have to go to Midtown or Buckhead. I think this suits the live here, work here, play here environment. So for those reasons, I would hope the board would agree. Thank you.
Anybody else like to speak in favor of? Favor of? Anybody in opposition to? Anybody opposed? Mr. McSwain, what are the conditions?
I'll have the conditions displayed on the board. Condition number 1, the applicant's plans for construction of the property shall be in general conformity. Excuse me. And point of clarity, before we move forward, the conditions are for the rezoning. The future land use map amendment did not have any conditions.
Thank you.
Okay.
But I'll reserve that when you're ready for the rezone.
Okay, I know there was no opposition, Mr. Heck, but did you want to utilize your 2 minutes?
I'm smart enough to know to sit down.
Commissioner Davis.
I move that we approve this, as stated.
I'll second the motion. Are there any questions?
Yes, there are questions.
Commissioner Franklin.
Yes, and so glad to hear Mr. Heck and hearing about his past experiences. Mr. Heck, are you aware that your client, other properties that your client currently owns in our county?
Well, I'll let Mr. Schmidt talk about that. I mean, he's here and he's with me here.
Okay. Well, I'm very aware of it. In fact, it's one of my most problematic properties within District 3. And what I found particularly with this particular builder is experience is the best teacher. And I believe that if we actually look at the number of open tickets and complaints right now, all the subdivision, it would be the McKinley Homes subdivision. On top of that, what I did notice as well is that just like these plans are great, they sound wonderful, and normally we can trust that it will be done. But the problem is I had to really push to even get roads redone, that they left a mess. And also they never even finished out the project until I had to get Mr. Ajiki to get involved to do so. So even though this is in a different district, I believe that even though these plans are wonderful, we have to be very careful and understand that experience is the best teacher. And people will tell you one thing, but they show you it's something different. So I think you need to be aware of that, and the board needs to be aware of that.
I'll allow you to comment.
Bill Schmidt, McKinley Homes. We're currently building Old Ivy Place. It's right up the street here. I'm not aware of any substantial issues. We've worked with the community that we're building, and I honestly am not aware of an unfinished community that we have an issue with. Maybe she can give me some specifics.
Well, offline, yes.
Mr. Jiki, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. If you would get with her or Mr. Ejiki, with Commissioner Franklin or Mr. Ejiki, and maybe they can point you in that direction.
But Mr. Chairman, I do need to make another point. That is the reason that we now have zoning in place, even to make sure that we hold builders accountable. And I will tell you, there was a lot of research done, and again, if it was any other company, then I would be able to see the track record. But this track record of this particular company is what I'm going to have to go by.
Okay, thank you. All right, Commissioner Davis.
We've already moved.
Oh, that's right. I got lost there. So. Okay. All right. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, 3-1, it passes. Madam Clerk, next.
The next zoning item is item number 29, BOC 2105-0114, which is a rezone from OI to RM to develop a 384-unit multifamily apartment complex.
How many minutes?
Mr. Chairman, all I'm going to do is just proffer what I said before, and staff has conditions which are acceptable to the applicant. And I'm gonna
No rebuttal minutes. All right, I'm good. Mr. McSwain.
Yes, staff did recommend 4 conditions. I should read them for the record. 1, the applicant's plans to be constructed of the property shall be in general conformity with the conceptual site plan and elevations prepared by McKinley Homes. Data is October the 14th, 2021. Condition number 2, must provide a street light plan to be approved per Clayton County Transportation Development Department. Condition number 3, the building materials may be a combination of any of the following: fiber cement sidings, panels, stone, brick, battens, pre-finished painted metal railings, any other materials accepted and approved by the county during the approval process. And lastly, condition number 4, they must provide an 8-foot wide sidewalk along the frontage of the property. Variable sidewalk widths due to topography and public improvements are subject to the approval of the Transportation and Development Department. That concludes the conditions for this request.
Okay, is there anybody here who'd like to speak in favor of? Anybody want to speak in favor of this request? Anybody like to speak in opposition to? Commissioner Davis?
Yes, I do have one question. I know we had spoke, Mr. Njike, about a kind of like an expiration date on beginning the project. In my estimation, this is going to be a great project for that area.
Yes, Commissioner, we spoke about an expiration date, and it's actually part of the code.
Yes.
And in our discussion, I said what we'll do is, what we're starting to do is to monitor all the rezonings.
Great, and that's why I
to
bring that
make
up.
sure that we start triggering them. In the past, we have not been doing that, but we want to start doing that.
And then the code states, for public record, the code states what?
The code states that if a rezoning passes and there is no action to execute the request based on the project that was in there, so 12 in a year, then we can trigger to revert the zoning back to what it was before it was changed.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Oh, you?
I move that we approve this project, this plan.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Madam Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner.
The next zoning item is item number 35. A preliminary plat approval for 2108-0024 for 80 detached single-family homes and 54 attached townhomes.
Chairman of the Board, this is the preliminary plat. The applicant is here to represent. Staff recommended approval. Zach recommended approval with 7 conditions for the preliminary plat.
Ms. Babb? How many minutes would you like to reserve?
3.
Set timer for 7.
Good evening, Commissioner. Let's see. Good evening, Commissioners. Michelle Battle with Battle Law, 3562 Habersham at North Lake, Tucker, Georgia, 30084. We are here to talk about the Flint Brook project. We can go to the next slide. Oops, I guess I couldn't do it to the next slide myself. There we go. As staff has indicated, or as it was announced, we are seeking to rezone property from AG and RS 180 to a PUD to allow for 134 dwelling units. There's a mixture of attached townhomes at 54 and detached single-family homes at 80. We have open spaces, pocket parks, and a walking trail on this site as proposed. We are on Highway 54. We are up from Greater St. Peter AME Church, where you see the red cursor there. It is a kind of an oddly shaped parcel that's a leftover, where there's 2 kind of triangular pieces that are connected together that allow for this development to move forward. This project is on a major thoroughfare, arterial road, and so we believe that this is appropriate use and allows for a suitable transition into the single-family detached product immediately behind the site. This again is the land use map. The current land use on the property is LBR, and again AG and RS 180 zoning. Here's the site plan that we have presented to staff. You can see that we have the single-family detached homes on the top portion of the property, and then towards the bottom we have the townhome component of the project. We do have, with regards to the townhome project, we have agreed to 2-car garages on both the single-family detached and the single-family attached development. We've had meetings with the community, separate and apart from the CIM meeting. We've had the opportunity to speak with one gentleman in particular who has come out and represented some of the neighborhood and answered and tried to address many of the questions that have been raised by him. I see him here tonight. He was here. But anyway, he was at the Planning Commission meeting, and we did go over a lot of the questions and concerns that he had with regards to the project. One of the things that's been raised by the community recently has been concerns about stormwater drainage off the site. And what we know is that while we are providing for detention on site for the project, there was also a recent change in the laws for the 15 surrounding communities that you all adopted, I believe in December of last year, where we are actually required to retain on site up to 10% of the, or a minimum of 10%, should I say, of the rainfall, 1-inch rainfall on the site. We had conversation with Ken Osby, who is here this evening, and understand what our obligations are with regards to this project. We know that we have to contain the water, that we cannot be flooding out other communities, and that we added in a provision within the conditions that staff has to make sure that we are compliant not only with the stormwater detention and floodplain regulations here in Clayton County, but also inclusive of that new runoff reduction requirement that has been placed on developers within the county. In terms of the elevations for the site, you can see here that we have a nice looking craftsman style type homes with a mixture of textures, including brick, brick, stone, and cementatious fiberboard, batten board, and others will be used as the additional textures. This is a project by Dan Ryan Builders. And you can see here again some of the other elevations, some of the floor plans that we have. This is the single-family attached product as well. And some of those do have a master on the main floor, which is also an added benefit. These are some of the single-family detached homes. And in terms of what we're looking at here, the home sizes with the townhomes and the single-family detached will be between 1,600 to 2,400 square feet, 3 to 4 bedrooms. We will have actually 2-car garages, the amenities, pocket parks, and the walking trail, and the open space that we have. The townhomes, we anticipate selling between $245,000 and $275,000 as a list price, and the single-family detached homes will start at $300,000. If this project is approved, it will take roughly 9 months to finish the development and start selling homes sometime in December of 2022. We believe that these units will be attractive to young professionals and empty nesters, and we are willing to add any type of rental restriction if requested by the council. We did propose 8 conditions which staff has. I'll let them read those off. We have had the opportunity to speak with Commissioner Franklin about this project as well, and also do some site visits out there. So with that, we would respectfully request approval based on the 8 conditions that staff will be reading, and we're here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, would anyone like to speak in favor of applicant's request? Anyone like to speak in favor of? Anyone like to speak in opposite? Oh, you in favor of, ma'am? Yes. Please come forward.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and the board. I am Pauline Thompson. I live at 331 Sawgrass Way, it's Clayton County, Georgia. I am an employee of Night Home, Dan Ryan Builder, and I am a resident of Clayton County. I just want to speak on behalf of my builder as a representation of the quality work that he has been providing in Clayton County. I was the on-site agent for the Lovejoy Station, and I'm currently at the Lincoln Mundy's Mill, off Mundy's Mill. We're almost at sold out in that community, at a great turnout. The buyers and the current residents in that community is pleased with what the builder brought forward in their existing.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but your time is up.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Anybody would like to speak in opposition to? Set the timer at 10, please.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is John S. Ruzinski Jr. I reside at 9283 Whaley's Lake Lane, which is downstream from the 54 rezoning request. I've been there 30 years. My concern is the stormwater generated by this rezoning action. I am one of 19 homes surrounding Whaley's Lake along the shoreline. Each of us own a portion of the lake. It is a private lake. It's man-made with a dam. It is not an HOA community. Water Authority does not and will not expand the existing drain because it's on private property. Code enforcement will not enforce the condition of the drain. This includes failures and blockages. We've had a problem in the past where the drain was clogged. We had street flooding and we had yard flooding. Several streets already drain into Whaley's Lake. And these drains are maintained by Water Authority because they're on the right-of-way. I attended the rezoning meeting on the 4th of October. I did not buy the answer that 80 single-family detached homes and 54 attached townhomes would generate minimal stormwater, with most of it being absorbed by the ground. Any 8th grader knows asphalt and concrete does not absorb water. Currently, there are 2 drainage ditches in the area on 54. Both of them lead into Whaley's Lake. One of them goes directly into my property. I'm concerned that we're going to have flooding and the homeowners are going to have to fend for themselves again. In the past, we told additional building of homes would cause no problems. Wrong. The construction of Whaley Lake Phase 3 and Taylor's Landing caused flooding issues. I had stormwater running down my driveway, through my backyard, and into the lake. My wife and I had to go down in the garage and put towels underneath the garage door. Water Authority put a grate across the street. That solved that problem. Additionally, in August of this year, the rainwater generated by Hurricane Ada flooded all 17 yards again for 2 days. Again, we have to fend for ourselves. The ground was so moist, I had a 50-foot pine tree go into the lake. Renting a 125-foot crane is not cheap. Please ensure that no stormwater from the rezoning will cause any further flooding and damage within the subdivision. Maybe it needs to be added to one of the conditions. Thank you for listening. Have a nice day.
Yes, anybody in opposition to?
Good evening. My name is Wanda Singleton. I reside at Monday's Overlook subdivision, which is off of Highway 54. I absolutely oppose Dan Ryan Builder's proposal to build a multi-unit subdivision right across the street from my home. I also sent a letter to, an email last night to Commissioner Franklin regarding this. First of all, there's not enough space for townhomes and single-family homes in this area. I request this proposal be denied and they find another location. Georgia Department of Transportation is still working on Highway 54 and has been for 7 years. We do not know when this project will be completed. They are now working through the night. I hear dump trucks all through the night with loads. They want to start this project next year in 2022 with it lasting for years. We have enough already of the continued construction, noise near my home, more pollution, less green space, more runoff water, more congestion, more construction for years. We already limited, I guess, because of the puddles in the entrance of our subdivision. I do not trust nothing Dan Ryan Builder says at all. I listened to their meetings and they were very, very vague and decisive when asked questions by other subdivision members. They asked specifically where the project will begin and ends, and they had a hard time, difficult saying from point A to point B. I reviewed the projects in Hampton and in Covington, and they are starting prices between $124,000 to $167,000. The median income for Clayton County is less than $25,000 a year, and Jonesboro even lower. The townhomes includes not a change from a 1-car garage to a 2-car garage with 3 bedrooms. Cars will be on the street with 3 bedrooms. Also, please review consumeraffairs.com for Dan Ryan's builder's current reviews and many concerns and complaints. They are not trustworthy and non-professional. We suffered enough here on Highway 54 with all this construction and have been previously lied to by a current builder. I request this proposal be denied and Flint Brook be moved elsewhere. Also, I did attend the zoning meeting and it was not a unanimous decision. If this is approved, I prefer that the builder has no rentals there for at least 3 years, and they do have a homeowners association, and no townhomes be built, period, because I feel like this will depreciate the value of the homes right across the street. No parking on the lawns. Developers provide additional parking spaces. Abide by Clayton County parking ordinance that includes parking on the right side of the street. Expand the driveways to accommodate 2 to 3 additional cars, and edit the zigzag recommendation to be more strict with the homeowners associations. I pay my homeowners association fee, and 80% of my people in my subdivision do not pay. Community will exit the subdivision to the right of the entrance to avoid accidents. I've seen 4 accidents there because I live right across the street, right there on Highway Drive. I've seen 4 accidents. I even called 911 several times with bad accidents right there. That's why I insist that they exit to the right. Do not make a left and get on to oncoming traffic. The builder will, perhaps they can install some type of side rails to the entrance of the neighboring subdivision to protect our homes from oncoming traffic. And traffic always, currently not already exceeds over 65 miles an hour. And it's going to be even higher once this road gets finished with 4 lanes. That this developer invest into our community by contacting the Clayton County School Board for crucial student needs. They would make millions on our community, but do not invest in our children. I recommend that the board, I should come out and see this area before approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak?
Eugene Funny, unincorporated Clayton. So my concern is, have we done affordability studies on the prices that they are imposing for this new development between a $245,000 and $275,000 for a townhome? How much is that per square foot? And we need to start asking the builders about the square footage, how much they're charging per square foot, because that really tells you how the affordability of these properties, and $300,000 for a home. So that's one of my concerns. And also, we put all these demands in about HOA, but you all know I've said this several times up here, that after this construction takes place, you're hands off when it comes to HOA. And then when the residents that buy into the property and they say, oh, we got to pay HOA dues, when we come to complain that the builder has not held up to their end of the bargain, you all tell us that it becomes a civil issue. So I'm trying to understand that why do we put all of these conditions in about HOA? As you all know, I've been living at my residence, it's been fully built out for over 2 years, and we still have not been given the HOA, right? And then in the HOA, it says that 90% of the homes are sold, but that builder is still responsible for 60%
I'm sorry, Ms. Funny,
of
your
the
time is
HOA.
up.
So the residents never own it.
Your time is up
So these
now.
are things we need to look into.
Your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Battle, you've got 3 minutes. Put 3 minutes on the timer, please.
While our engineer is coming up, Wade Stroud, I just want to say that this is an opportunity to have some new development in an area that has really not had any new development recently. We believe that this project, again, will continue to the resurgence along this corridor and to allow for new product to come in with new homeowners, with new price points. And so I'm going to ask Wade to come on up and address the stormwater issue.
Thank you, Michelle. Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, just briefly, we had a chance to speak with Kevin Osby, and just to give you a little bit of background about myself, Before I worked for a private consultant, I served as the stormwater management director for Henry County for 3 years. So Kevin and I used to be peers in that role. Certainly, we, as an engineering firm, value what Clayton County is attempting to do through the Metro North Georgia Water Planning District with runoff reduction. As we spoke about this project specifically on Monday, we certainly are going to be respectful of that ordinance, and we recognize that we can't get our permit and we can't have our plans issued as approved until we are in full compliance with the runoff reduction. So as part of that, traditional detention ponds, but as Ms. Battle said earlier, the new requirement is we have to retain 1 inch of rainfall on the site and never allow it to leave. It allows it to percolate back into the groundwater. This retention on site certainly will have a significant reduction in the downstream flows that leave this development and other developments that are in compliance with runoff reduction. So I just want to give this board and the citizens some assurances that this site will be in compliance with the code of Clayton County with regards to not only stormwater detention, but runoff reduction as well. So thank you.
Here to answer any other questions that you all may have.
Okay. All right, Mr. Swain, what other conditions?
To clarify the conditions that have been presented before you, I will read the recommendations that were forwarded to you by ZAG, and then I will also notify you all the recommendations of conditions that the applicant is imposing as well. Starting with the conditions that were forwarded over to you. Condition number 1, the applicant's plans for construction of the property shall be in general conformity with a conceptual submitted plan submitted on June 29, 2021. Townhome lots that abut the public right-of-way shall have a building facade with the appearance of a front entrance. Condition number 2, the proposed walking trail material shall include either mulch, wood, chips, crushed stone, or recyclable materials. Condition number 3, a homeowner association shall be established for the proposed development to provide maintenance of common areas and covenants regulating uses and structures. Condition number 4, provide decorative fencing along the road frontage of Highway 54 and provide an internal decorative fence internal to the rear buffer adjacent to the existing subdivisions. Condition number 5, all homes to have a minimum 2-car garage. Condition number 6, street parking signage plan to be reviewed and addressed by the Clayton County Transportation Development Department prior to the completion of the final plat. And the last condition that was forwarded to you, condition number 7, states that the assigned conditions of the HOA responsibilities shall follow as: 1, the builder will be 100% responsible of the HOA until 50% of the homes are sold. After 90% of the homes are sold, the builder will be responsible for 60% of the HOA. After 100% of the homes sold, the homeowners will be responsible for the maintenance of the homeowners association. That is the recommendations that were forwarded over to you. The applicant is is recommending the following amendments to those conditions. And that would be that number 1, a new site plan was reviewed, and that site plan date would be August the 2nd, 2021. And for number 4, there is an amendment that will add the following language: along with additional plantings within the buffer as required by the county arborist to make the buffer denser. Again, condition number 4 is to address the fencing and internal decorative fencing for the site. There's a new condition for number 8, which will be number 8, sanitation collection for the community will be established through one provider that will be engaged by the homeowners associations for the entire community. Any standard costs and sanitation collection shall be split equally amongst the lot owners and collected as part of the assessments imposed by the HOA. And lastly, which would be condition number 9, the applicant must comply with the floodplain and stormwater management per requirements of the Clayton County Water Authority prior to the approval of a land disturbance permit. or the site development application process, including recently approved runoff reduction regulations.
And it should be noted that we deleted the provision with regards to all of the 90% and 60% on the HOA that was proposed by ZAG. After discussions with Commissioner Franklin, what we committed to and what's in the conditions is that there will be a mandatory HOA. It will be turned over in regular course to the community. That the provisions there that were mentioned by one of the ZAG members, well, it was a very cumbersome process. I'm not really sure what he was trying to achieve with that. And so the thought was that having the HOA and having it turned over in its regular course was appropriate, and that is typically after the developer has left the subdivision. And they're supposed to turn that over. I'm not sure why that happened with that other community, but under their bylaws and their declaration, that should have been done.
Mr. Jicke, you got something to add?
Not yet. Commissioners, I know you guys probably confused about all these conditions. There are two sets of conditions. One that's in your package that we sent to you that was heard during ZAG, and that's the condition that ZAG saw. I received this afternoon a new set of conditions that the Attorney Battle is mentioning. I just learned that these conditions, which I saw this afternoon, that was discussed with the district commissioner. I'm not privy to that conversation, so I'm not sure which conditions should override. What Mr. Maxwell did was merge the two and show where the differences were, and read them. One of the one significant part of the conditions was the number 7 in your package, further detailed how the HOA, the transition of the HOA to the homeowners, but it's not in the conditions that we received this afternoon. So I'm hoping, Chairman, if we could ask the district commissioner.
Yeah, we'll get our input on that. What is your understanding, Ms. Battle, in terms of which set
With all
of
due
conditions?
respect, the conditions originally were sent over to staff and to Commissioner Franklin back on October 13th. We added today condition number 8, which was based on our conversation with Ken Osby, to add something to give the community reassurance that we will be abiding by the stormwater requirements and that we will be vigilant about making sure that we are not flooding out the adjacent properties. And so that was the condition that was added, but those conditions were actually sent over back on the 13th, and I do have the email that shows that we sent that over. So it was sent over in time enough for Commissioner Franklin at a minimum to be able to look at those conditions, and so I would defer to her. But we are hopeful that if this is to be approved, it would be approved based on the substitute conditions that we sent over to staff. Thank you.
Commissioner Franklin.
Yes, I'm here. First, I want to say thank you to the community for giving their feedback. Ms. Singleton, as well as Mr. Stasinski, have been extremely involved in this process, and so that's why you do have a lot of these added conditions. Mr. Stasinski, I want to say it properly, because of your concerns and Ms. Singleton's concern, I actually did go back and make a request for Mr. Kevin Osby to be here. So at this particular time, to deal with the stormwater, I would like to have our representative of the Water Authority please come forward and give his assessment. I know that it's been added, but I want to hear it from Mr. Kevin Osby if he's still there.
Mr. Osby, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good evening, Chairman, Board. Yes, I met with Mr. Stroud, attorney, yesterday, and we talked about the project after receiving an email from Commissioner Franklin about this project. I did also follow up with Mr. Rosinski on the matter and his concerns, and I discussed the updated ordinance for the stormwater management and tried to assure him that, hey, we have new ordinances in place. We're going to work with these folks to make sure that they provide and comply with that ordinance. And basically, the overall requirements of the ordinance is to make sure what's leaving the site post-development is less than or equal to pre-development as far as the flow rate. So we're going to work with the developer. We talked about the runoff reduction requirements, so that should also help the downstream concerns also. So that's all I would
Okay. All right, Mr. Osby, too. Let me ask you a question. So what is our recourse? Is there a recourse of action for us if, for whatever reason, our requirements are not met and the water authority requirements are not met? Is that on the county, or will that become civil, or what could happen or will happen?
So I will say that the ordinance is not a water authority ordinance, it's a Clayton County ordinance. It's the post-construction ordinance. So there are requirements in there during the development portion. We make sure that the engineer provide the data needed to ensure that the pre versus post or post versus pre is met. All of the runoff reduction requirements are met. And as we go through the actual development requirement, we will have folks out there, staff out there to ensure that the site is built in the requirements that were developed in the actual stormwater plans.
Okay, so I guess this is for legal. So then basically by putting in the requirements, this is making it legally binding between the developer and the county, and if there are issues later down the road, then it would be on the county, is that it?
That's correct. If the board approves these conditions are part of the conditions to develop the property. Well, at least on the plat. You haven't gotten to the rezoning aspect yet, but it will be a condition that is part of the development of the plat.
Okay, and one more question, Mr. Reed. So then, if we see there are concerns along the way, how would we be able to issue a cease and desist of building? And what would be the time frame?
Well, much of that will be dependent on what's going on. Obviously, if there is a building permit or some sort of construction permit, if they're not abiding by it, it will just be revoked or suspended until whatever issues were resolved.
Okay, so so can we allow for the water authority to have to sign off on certain phases before it can move forward? Is that something we can do or shouldn't do?
Most of that, once the board.
The technical review committee, I'm sorry.
Yeah, once this board approves, it will go through the county's normal process on development of property. So this will be reviewed by the technical review committee. There will be any issues that they've got to look at, which will include the water authority. So yes, once it leaves here, this won't be like this is the last time that anybody with the county will be looking at this document again.
Okay. Now, Ms. Battle, are you all willing to help resolve some issues? Because obviously you're going to have start building. So are you all willing to make sure that Mr. Rosinski is made whole through this process?
So what I can say is this. We have to go through, if this gets approved, we have to go through the land development permitting process. We will have to provide our hydrology study. We'll have to provide proof that we have complied with the runoff protection. What I can commit to is that our engineer is here. We know of Mr. Gazensi and his issues, and so it seems to me that what would be prudent would be for us to get with him to make sure that if this gets approved and construction starts, that we are in constant contact with them so that if there's any problems or issues, we can address it immediately. What I would hate to see is for us to get way down the road, homes are built, everybody, the builder is gone, and there's been no discussion, and he's already having issues. So if we're in constant contact with him, As we are going through this process, and I'm sure him and the other neighbors over there, it seems to me that we can try and head it off at the pass and make sure that we are taking care of the water in the way that it's supposed to, and certainly compliant, I guess, with because we have to go through final plat, so we can't even get our final plat if we haven't taken care of all these other things. So.
Okay, wonderful. Are you also willing to add in some type of guardrail as, I don't know if it's a rail we need, but some type of fixture that would be approved by TND to ensure that there is, I guess, added safety for the entrance of the community? It could even be decorative as well as a wall of some sort.
Right, I don't see an issue with that in general. My assumption is transportation would tell us anyway if we had to have any type of guardrails there to put up, that would be a part of the requirements of the LPP.
Okay, wonderful. I think that's pretty much it. The only thing that you did not include, which I know we discussed, is the added package of landscaping around the areas, and we spoke intently about that previously. And then also, you know, we want to make sure that there is pedestrian lighting. The sidewalks are already included, and the reason we pulled that HOA requirement out is because actually it is not in compliance with what's lawfully allowable. So we need to make sure that we have that taken out, and we need to abide by whatever the general principles are for the HOA and the sale of the homes. But other than that, that's all I really have as that added condition. Make sure that we get the water right, get the developer to add the pedestrian lighting, and then get with the state to make sure that we landscape it beautifully and to keep folks safe. And of course, we already added the 2-car garages. So with that being stated, I'm willing to propose approval to the board to make a motion for approval of this project.
Is that what the conditions, and let me just say this, I'm totally confused as to what the conditions are. So at this point, please reiterate with Ms. Battle's confirmation that that is what is being recommended.
The conditions were actually provided as read, the ones that were received as was stated at that time. The only thing we have added is the pedestrian lighting and the railing, and then they've already added, thanks to Mr. Kevin Osby, the additional condition of making sure that that our citizens who are currently in that area are made whole or remain as they are through the current zoning requirement that's already in place, the current code. So that's the only thing we've added.
Thank you. Mr. McSwain, could you please give me the conditions?
Okay, no problem. Condition number 1 would read, the applicant's plans for construction of the property shall be in general conformity with the site plan submitted by the applicant dated on August the 2nd, 2021. Townhome lots that abut the project right-of-way shall have a building facade with the appearance of the front entrance. Condition number 2, the proposed walking trail material shall include mulch, wood chips, crushed stone, or recyclable materials. Condition number 3, a homeowners association shall be established for the proposed development to provide maintenance of common areas and covenants regulating uses and structures. We are modifying condition number 4 to include the guardrails, pedestrian lighting, and landscaping. So it shall read as, must provide decorative fencing, a guardrail, pedestrian lighting, and landscaping along road frontage on Highway 54, and provide internal decorative fence internal to the rear buffer adjacent to the existing subdivisions, along with additional plantings within the buffer as required by the county arborist to make the buffer denser. Condition number 5, all homes that have a minimum 2-car garage. Condition number 6, street parking and signage plan to be reviewed and addressed by the Clayton County Transportation Development Department prior to the completion of the final plat. Condition number 7, sanitation collection for the community will be established through one provider that will be engaged by the homeowners association for the entire community. Any standard costs incurred in sanitation collection shall be split equally amongst the lot owners and collected as part of assessments imposed by the HOA. Lastly, number 8, the applicant must comply with floodplain and stormwater management per the requirements of the Clayton County Water Authority prior to the approval of the land disturbance permit including the recently approved runoff reduction regulations. That will include the 8 conditions for this proposal.
Ms. Battle, is that your understanding and acceptance of these conditions?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Franklin has made a motion, to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any questions?
I do have one. We've gone through speaking at length about the storm runoff. Worst case scenario, damages have been construed to these homes. Is it paid through for the homeowner's insurance, or the county, or the developer? Or is this a court battle?
So our obligation is to comply with the land development ordinance. So the assumption here is that that process will minimize those issues. If something transpires after the development has been completed, then it would be my understanding that it would be a civil matter. The county would verify that we did comply with the requirements under the regulations. And then if there was additional flooding, then that would be between that homeowner and the builder.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, it's 3-1, it passes.
Thank you. Next.
Mr. Chairman, who opposed? Nobody?
I did.
Okay. My apologies.
That's Commissioner Davis opposed.
Oh, okay. Thank you. The next zoning item is number 36, BOC 2108-0137, which is a PUD rezone to allow 80 single-family homes and 54 attached townhomes.
This is the rezoning component to the request, and the conditions will follow as the previous stated preliminary plat.
How many minutes would you like to reserve? None? Go ahead.
Oh, I'd like to reserve 9 minutes.
9 minutes?
9 minutes.
Okay.
Ditto.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, does anybody here like to, I lost my train of thought. Like to speak in favor of this applicant's request? Anybody like to speak in favor? How about in opposition? Anybody in opposition?
I'd like to say so.
Take the mic, Mr. Garber.
Mickey Garber, unincorporated Rex, Georgia. After watching and hearing these proceedings, the impression that I get about anybody coming into our county to buy anything, it better be buyer beware. That's all I got to say. You know, nobody is willing to take on all responsibility. You're passing it off to everybody else, and it's buyer beware. Thank you.
Anybody else? Mr. McSwain, what other conditions? Oh, excuse me. Ms. Battle, where are you? You want to use your 9 minutes?
No, sir.
All right. Well, Mr. McSwain, conditions.
The conditions for this petition will follow as previously stated in the preliminary plat.
Okay. Commissioner Franklin?
I'm here, I'm sorry to take off mute. Let me go ahead and make this quick statement. No matter where we are building, there are things that government can do and cannot do, and there are things that will always be a civil matter. And any home, I'm hoping that you all are going to give a 210 warranty on these particular homes, and we're going to do our due diligence to make sure that these conditions are met, because I'm going to make sure, as I stay in touch with the community and the surrounding current community. So I'll definitely do make a recommendation for approval, but to the citizens, remember this: buying a home or being in a home is a constitutional right That's not something that we do. We only police the actual zoning and make sure that the code and the zoning requirements are met. That's as far as our legal authority goes, okay? So get you an inspector. But other than that, I make recommendation for approval based upon everything that's been previously put forth.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
3-1, it passes.
The next zoning item is number 37, BOC 2108-0139, which is a rezone from GB to LI for a warehouse distribution facility.
And again,
Mr.
to state,
McSwain.
yes, to again, to state 37, 38, and 39, all associated, the applicant has requested to table these items to the next Board of Commissioners meeting on November the 16th.
So I will make a motion to table 37, 38, and 39 till November 16th. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Hambrick. Any questions? Hearing none. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Do we need an executive session, Mr. Reed?
Yes, just on litigation.
All right, I make a motion going into executive session for litigation. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Nay. We should postpone it.
3-1.
Nay.
Everybody have a good night. All right, motion to reconvene.
So moved.
Second, those in favor, aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Reed?
Would you like me to take them together?
Well, hold on a second. Let me check on Commissioner Franklin to make sure she's come back. Commissioner Franklin, are you online? Commissioner Franklin? All right, show that she's not present. Proceed, Mr. Reed.
Okay. Would you like me to take them together?
Yes, please.
Okay. First is the resolution of a claim. Oh, okay, she's connecting.
Okay, she's connecting now. Go ahead.
Okay, it's Valencia Wilson versus Clayton County in the amount of $40,000. This is involving an accident that occurred on May 7th, 2020 at or near the intersection of Mount Zion Road and Thralekill Road in Clayton County. And this releases the county and several other defendants, including the Board of Commissioners and Michael Martin. The next is a settlement involving Frederick Wiley in relation to a civil action file number 119 CV02006 CAP filed in the United States District Court, Northern District of Georgia, as well as the appeals of that case. And this is in the amount of $40,000 involving an incident that occurred on or around May 6, 2017, involving Willie Deese and James Townsend. And the final is settlement agreement involving Stephanie Lachey Reddit, arising from a motor vehicle accident that occurred on or about December 6, 2017, Terra Boulevard in Clayton County, and involves the dismissal of a civil action number case Stephanie Reddit versus Clayton County, Georgia, Larry Arnold, and the Clayton County Police Department, State Court of Clayton County, civil action file numbers 2018 CV01931, and that is in the amount of $35,000.
All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Good night.